Studio check.
Frequencies check.
We are live on air.
You are listening to the In Fact Blessing the Airwaves. Take the journey into the world of sports, news, entertainment, while embracing the hottest beats on the planet. Rocking the mind, body, and with energy, electricity, and a splash of controversy. Now, without further ado, it's our pleasure to bring to you
the biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world. The SBTV Nation.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the weekend. You are listening to the biggest show in the world, having an absolute ball, getting ready for this big collegiate football slate. And I got both my dogs on the line. First off, Dr. Dan, the evil genius of Major League Baseball. What's up?
Oh, nothing good.
Nothing good.
Nothing good with baseball.
Nothing good.
Cubs in trouble.
Cubs are in trouble, I guess, and nobody saw that coming. Dream, what's going on?
Ain't no trouble in Cubby land. They just trying to make it interesting. They called him, said, dude, ratings are at an all-time low. If you guys don't get right, we're going to have Terry Francona go take the mound.
Yes, sir. Dan, I don't know if you listened to our stellar breakdown of the World Series yesterday, but and I'm going to quote the Dream by saying, well, who do I know on Cleveland? I know Kluber. I know Francona. That's about it.
Miller?
Andrew Miller.
Miller, anybody?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
I mean, no, this is what I said, guys. Remember, when I gave out my World Series play, I said you take the Cubs in 6 and 7, and then you take the Indians plus 190.
Yes.
And, if you listen to me, you're probably feeling pretty good about yourself right now.
Right, exactly, because you got plus money on all three of those plays.
Big plus money, yeah. I mean, when you're calling exact games. So, look, you have Kluber going on 3 days rest today.
Yes.
Against Lackey, man, and somehow the Cubs are still a pretty big favorite. Man, I thought they desperately needed that game last night. I don't know how Tomlin goes out there and basically just shuts down the best lineup in baseball completely.
Exactly.
After posting an 11 ERA in August. So you got me there. I think the Cubs are in a lot of trouble, though.
Well, you got...
I mean, if they go down today, it's a big mess.
Now, you've got, if you look at the Cubs here, I mean, you go 2 games in Cleveland, 3 in Wrigley, and then you go back to Cleveland for game 6 and 7, correct?
Yeah, I hate that. I love the NBA format where it's 2-2, 1-1-1.
Yes.
No, I wish baseball had that. I think they should go back to it. But yeah, so if the Cubs lose today, obviously the rest of the games are elimination games and only one more at home.
You're right.
So that means they'd have to, beat the Indians and their bullpen and Kluber one more time.
Sure thing,
if he's going today, and he's going to go game 7 if need be.
Well, I'm hopeful that the World Series ends by Wednesday so Empire can come back on, Dream. Because they've been not showing Empire because of the baseball in the World Series. What's that?
I'm loving the World Series. It's real good.
The World Series has the best ratings that they've had in forever.
Really?
It's just the media. That's like Trump winning. They just
no. You know what it is? It's that the NFL has a friggin' 20% drop in viewership right now. And people are looking for other outlets, and you don't see anybody in baseball kneeling down for the Star Spangled Banner. The other thing is, I think people are starting to come around. You don't see guys in baseball getting catastrophically injured on a play-in, play-out basis. And I get that's the game of football, and I like a hard hit like anybody else. But a lot of people are like, I feel kind of bad about watching some dude basically kill himself. So baseball has definitely been reaping the gains. That I think hockey ratings are up. NBA ratings are up, which is weird for this time of year. So, NFL is definitely in panic mode with that goon and clown, Roger Goodell.
Well, you know what? I can
NBA ratings are up, I think, because NBA's done such a great job as far as their storylines and in the off seasons. And, football decided that they wanted to go in the avenue of the parody. and the NBA took the exact opposite, which is building super teams. And I think the public has more embraced the super team build-up than the parity thing that the NFL has. Because, dude, when you look at the NFL, and you know I love football, though, there's like 4 good teams. Yeah. The rest of them are like garbage.
Oh, yeah, no, it's true. And that's the other thing, and I think, that's what you hear, and I would agree. The quality of play is terrible. And a lot of that is because the quality of the officiating and the rules they put in, it's garbage.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just garbage.
Along with, there's been a lot of there's been a lot of taken away from practicing. Severely, even when you step down to the collegiate level, practicing as far as football is concerned has really been tinkered with to a point where
there's no more contact.
There's no more contact, and you're losing a lot of fundamentals, and there's not a lot of gameplay. Then, with the emergence of the spread offense, especially in college, you're getting these guys that come into the NFL. They haven't even taken snap under centers ever, so you got to start all over from scratch.
Sure. Right.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you, and I definitely agree with the super team thing. And I think more than that, I think especially you're right. The narratives that the NBA drove were unbelievable. And I also think going into it, watching the Spurs absolutely kill Golden State in that game 1, I think that perked a lot of people up because I think a lot of people came in like, I'm not sure if I'm going to stay up, watch this late night game. And then it's like, oh my God, what just happened?
Right on. Nobody expected that. Exactly. So good morning to everybody. We are live on Twitter, SBTV Nation. You can follow the Dream _SBTV and Dr. Dan Evil Genius. Dan, so the World Series here, we'll see what ends up going down with that. I think the Cubs will make it interesting, like the Dream alluded to. I think this will be a 6 or 7 game series regardless.
It all depends. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm maybe 6 at this point because
6 with Clevey.
I don't know. I can't see them winning tonight.
Wow.
I cannot see them winning tonight. If you go back and I'm kind of a junkie, so I'll watch these Kluber starts. What he's doing right now is unbelievable.
Yep.
Is unreal the way he's pitching. And they can't pick him up at all. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't made a final decision yet because the only thing that concerns me is hey, it's the second time they're getting to see him. I'm sure they're looking at the tape and they're professionals. So hopefully, you'd think the Cubs line will be able to figure it out a little bit. The thing is, you got to work Kluber's pitch count. Remember, he's going on 3 days rest.
Yep.
You try and get him up, into the 80s and 90s early, foul off pitches. Don't swing at stupid pitches. And that's the Cubs' biggest problem. They're swinging at crazy pitches. So we'll see how I feel about this game. I just can't believe that the Cubs are a big favorite.
Dream, are you going to go back and watch the old Kluber starts?
I'm going to go back and watch the old Kluber starts to try to get a feel for it and get myself together and a little bit of footage of Seri Francona. Francona, what's he play? Outfield? Center field?
Tito, baby. Tito's all right, here's the thing about that. I just got to say is because I curse managers up and down all the time. And look, I'm one of those idiot fans that's like, no, I could do that better. When he took out the starter and he brought in Miller, okay, in the 5th inning,
yep.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, what are you doing? It's a 0-0 game, Tito. You're crazy. And then next thing you know, you get into the next inning. He pinch hits for him. It works. Everything the dude touches is gold.
Yeah, seems that way. You just get people that are like that and lucky like that. And you know what? Everything they touch turns to gold regardless of what they do, Dan.
I mean, come on. The fact that he's taken the Indians where they are in such a short time is insane. I mean, the Cubs, and the fact that, Theo's on the other side, and again, what he's done, I mean, both these teams are very impressive, but for the Indians to be doing what they're doing with that rotation, I don't think especially with their other 2 and 3 basically out, the whole time.
Right.
It's crazy.
A lot of injuries there.
Fun.
So one more thing before we get into college football. Dream, are you going to hedge your Hillary Clinton play yet?
I am not.
Did they not refund your money? But no, a lot of the books have taken this play off the board.
After Wiener has surfaced again?
Wienergate. Always a wiener. But
my
she's in
kid
trouble.
is loving that. He's dying laughing because he does the Snapchat and the Instagram and all that, and there's so many wiener memes out there, especially with like Trump talking about it, perverts and all that. What I don't know if you guys know what's going on, man, but
even though Trump is like the ultimate pervert, I mean,
but he's not. But at least he's going
It's
after grown women. He's not going after teenagers, though. You know
Oh,
what I'm
of
saying?
course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
No, I have no dog in this fight. I think both candidates are deplorable for different reasons. But I think I'm almost more than willing. If you want to talk about it from a betting standpoint, Dream, I would hedge with Hillary getting indicted.
Yeah, right.
Because that's and then she'll already be president, so she'll just be like, "Look, I'm granting myself clemency today."
Yes. Right on. So, what better way to have an emergence, a long shot come to form with a federal indictment before the election, if that comes to form.
It'd be like all those people with those fake tickets from the Seattle, Arizona tie.
Yeah.
I've seen so many $50, $12,000 tickets. I'm like, oh my God, everybody and their mother's got a friggin' tie ticket on this game tonight. Give me a break.
Everybody's got Photoshop out there.
Oh, dude, it's hilarious.
Exactly. So, all right, let's move on, guys. We are at Saturday, and it is time. It is time for college football, where the cream rises to the top, and there is a sea of home team underdogs on prime time tonight. But we're going to start off. Since Dr. Dan has not been on the show for quite some time, I'm going to kick it right off with you. What is the first game that you are looking at in this big card today?
Oh, huge card, and I have a problem here. So anybody who knows, some of these books online do not like to put games in time order. So I just go through them, and I'm like, oh, where do I see some value? And I think this is a 3:30 game, and I know the spread is big. I think we're at 21 points. But Western Kentucky is at Florida Atlantic, okay? Florida Atlantic is 1-6. And Western Kentucky, they lost to La Tech, which at La Tech, that was a 107-point combined score game. They lost to a Vandy team by a point, not good, and they lost to Alabama. So 5-3, but for their conference, that's a dope 5-3 record.
Right.
I think they go in and they stomp Florida Atlantic out today, like 35-point win.
You really think so?
I really do. This FAU team, come on.
That is
come on. They don't even belong in that conference.
Yeah, that's a tough way to be as far as your record is concerned. And you know what? Florida Atlantic, 1-5 against the spread in the last 6 games. And Western Kentucky, believe it or not, Dan, they don't cover ever. 1-6.
I understand that, but look at the schedule.
I get it. I understand that completely. And you know what? Florida Atlantic only puts up 22 points a game. Western Kentucky should get it done, especially versus that pitiful defense of Florida Atlantic. So
this reminds me of the first game of the season. I know it was a home game for Western Kentucky, but when they played Rice and they beat them by like 35 points.
So that game is less than a marquee game, but if there's value,
money is money, baby.
It is. That's the Dream's favorite play on the board.
76 yards, 20 touchdowns. Mike White getting it done. Western Kentucky, you got to like them today. I mean, I like them as well. 21.5 points. Not so fast for me, but that's just how I do it. So I think you take the touchdown off of that, and you're real good.
Dream's going to money line that.
I'm not going to
all in money line.
It's only minus $1,600 to win a hundo.
I hit him with the tees and knock 7 points off and add 40 teams to it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Dream, what's your game of the day to start off?
I got a simple. Listen, today's going to be real simple for me. I'm cutting it down a little bit. Last week was a good week as far as college football.
Yeah,
NFL ended up turning out good too. Last week, remember, I had the dog play. I only did 2 plays. We're going to cut that down again and have some light plays. The first place I'm going to start, though, to me, which is very obvious, I don't know about other people, and it is a rivalry, but I don't feel that it should be a rivalry. Listen, Baylor's giving 3.5 to Texas.
Yep.
I'm just going to take that down to 2. I'm going to add a point to that, take that down to 2.5. I love Baylor to beat the brakes off of Texas today. Unfortunately, Coach Strong may be looking for a new job at the end of the day because, I mean, he is in the hot seat big time down there. I don't know if he has the locker room, if he has these kids' attention anymore, but this right here is a huge game as far as the fabric of Texas is concerned. I look at Baylor to really come in here and beat this Texas team. Texas is not good. Defense is allowing 438 yards. Meanwhile, Baylor puts up 549 yards of offense. I expect Baylor to be able to run the ball, pass the ball, and do anything they want to do against Texas. In this game here, Baylor will get their face on the map as far as college football is back concerned again. This is a big game for Baylor because people are now starting to whisper about them a little bit as they're doing what they're quietly going about.
Right.
If they go in and bludgeon Texas, to steal one of Dr. Dan's words, if they go in and Texas, that just lost, by the way, K-State, which is
exactly.
I'm surprised. How Strong did not get fired after that loss, I'm still questioning. But Baylor,
they're just counting their dollars.
Hey, it didn't stop the LSU faithful. Texas, regardless. I'm really listen. You know, I kind of applaud Texas, to be honest with you, for having this type of patience with Coach Strong. I know there's probably a little tad bit of racial undertones in the background of this thing, so they're trying to handle this as diplomatically as possible. This is one of those instances that I have to say reverse racism is going down. If Coach Strong had been white, he would have got fired at halftime of the Kansas State.
I don't disagree with you because isn't he? I mean, Texas historically is he the first black coach, Dream, at Texas?
At Texas, I believe so.
I believe so.
Oh.
And I remember when he was hired, there was a whole bunch of crazy stuff that you heard. But, you know, it's funny. This was the next game that I was going to as well.
Forget Black Dan. He's the 5th highest paid coach in college football.
Well, that's why. That's why. Because they're just like, well, if we because you know they're not bringing in a small name, right? So Texas is sitting back, like, let's just wait till the end of the year. Because we want a coach that can come in here and, like, we want to show that we're not doing this dude so dirty. And also, we don't want to pay another big-name coach in the middle of the year while we already owe this guy a crazy amount of money. Boosters only can go so far, you know? But, no, I think Baylor goes on the road today and absolutely kicks the crap out of Texas. Baylor has a tough schedule coming up. And this is a game that they really have. I mean, it's at Texas and home against TCU, but then at Oklahoma, a K-State game at home thrown in between, a live Texas Tech team and a very good West Virginia team on the road. So they have to get this done. I think they come out. Again, Texas can't stop a nosebleed.
Got it.
So, you know.
All right. Well, you know what? That's a really tough game, and I wish you the best of luck. I'm going nowhere near that. But I am going to another game that...
Tough. Hold on, wait. Tough?
That's a tough game. That's
Texas
always
lost
been
to
a tight.
Oklahoma State,
I'm aware.
Oklahoma and Kansas State. And you think this is going to be tough?
I think it's going to be tough. I've seen Baylor struggle, Dream. I saw Baylor struggle versus SMU in the beginning of the game. So I don't know. I'm not.
And they won 40-13.
I'm not high on this Baylor team. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
They held. Hold on, but this Baylor team held Oklahoma State to 24 points. You know, that's one of the best offenses out there.
I understand.
I know they struggled at Iowa State, which is like, okay, maybe that was kind of a look ahead. And then what did they do? They went out and beat Kansas 49-7. So I don't know, man. I think you know, I'm rolling with you, Dream. I think you take it down to 2.5 and let it ride all day.
Yeah, let Hat get involved with the Penn State, Purdue. He's looking at that game right now. He wants to take Purdue -4.
No. I'm going into a game where I never do this. I never take a team off a loss. However, I've seen this team at their best, and I still think this team is one of the best in the country. And I'm going to Urban Meyer and The Ohio State University, who is hosting Northwestern in Columbus today. And if you look at the line, it's pretty heavy. They're giving, I want to say it was 27 points. And Dream, I got to take The Ohio State University to bounce back. You realize now with that loss, they have to pound all their opponents now. And I think that they put the foot on the gas all four quarters and get it done here. I like the Ohio State University minus the spread. I think they're going to get it done. I think they're going to run up the score, and I think they're going to beat the brakes off of Northwestern. Dan, what's your thoughts on the Ohio State University?
I don't really disagree with you.
Okay.
And I'm with you. You know, normally I don't like taking a team off a loss like that, but this is a little bit of a different situation. You know, as Urban Meyer liked to say last week, it's all still in front of us.
It is.
Because if they win out, they're going to get a playoff spot with one loss.
Right on, because you got to beat Michigan.
Yeah. So I don't even know if they necessarily need to run up the score, but they're not feeling good after last week. But you know, this Northwestern team just worries me a little bit. So there's no way I can get down with the points. In weird situations, you've seen. I mean, Northwestern went on the road and they beat a pretty good Iowa team and put up 38 points. 54. I mean, Michigan State's garbage, but I mean, that spread's too much.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. The Ohio State University only gives up 2 touchdowns per game, and being in Columbus versus a Northwestern team that does not dazzle you offensively at all. I can't see Northwestern putting up more than 14 points, to be honest.
Yeah, but in the last 3 weeks, you know, I understand. Beginning of the year, they looked garbage on offense. In the last 3 weeks, I mean, they've put up like 115 points. Like they're averaging, 40 points a game almost.
Yeah.
So that's what concerns me. And, you just wonder, you still have to wonder about the psyche of Ohio State.
Dream, where you at with this?
I am at, be careful.
Be careful.
First of all, you love it, and you know what happens when you love it.
Major look ahead too.
I thought Navy was going to kill.
I didn't say. Listen, I said that I thought they would have success running the ball, which they did have some. They covered their 7.5 spread, and I did say put it in a tease. And I also said I wasn't taking any of the college games, but if you're getting involved with it, do this. Is that all not correct?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Now, back to this game. And first of all, before we go back to this game, I'm still kind of stuck on the Texas game for 1 second, because you did mention SMU, and you did mention Baylor struggling with SMU. I will remind you that SMU beat Houston.
Well,
now,
Houston is going to be in the Chick-fil-A Bowl or the Potato Bowl this year. So it doesn't really matter. That's not an impressive win, in my humble opinion, after watching the Houston Cougars.
Let me move forward. Listen, you could say what you want about Houston. They're still a pretty good team.
Right, I
Fort
understand.
Jr. is still one of the most dynamic players in college football outside of the other two in Louisville and in Clemson. Still one of those top names. So with that, we'll move on to this game. Ohio State. The one issue that I did hear in your conversation with Ohio State was I heard that needing to blow everybody out and try to murder this thing till the end. I thought that was going to be the case in a few of these games. And once again, just like that must-win situation sometimes we've seen in football, doesn't always seem to pan out that way for whatever reason. So, I mean, if that's part of your basis of this, I would just say not so fast on that. I do think Ohio State will bounce back and win this game. They should cover their spread. I don't really have a problem with it, but I would just be careful to be, for me, on the safe side. I'd probably knock this down to under 3 touchdowns. Okay. I take this to like 20.5. Just take the 7 off of that and get it at 20, just to be safe. I think Ohio State wins. They are at home. They should be comfortable. They should be able to bounce back. Couple little ugly things got exposed on Ohio State's defense last week. I don't know if Northwestern will be able to capitalize, but I would just be a little bit careful with this, expecting this blowout, but you might get it.
All right, sounds good. So we're going to move it over to Dr. Dan. Where you at next, brother?
Oh, man. I mean, I feel like this game has to be talked about just because it's a noon game. And do we want to talk about Louisville at all? I mean, minus 34 at Virginia.
At Virginia, minus 34 points. Number 5, Louisville, with Action Jackson going into Virginia, who is 2-5 and 1-2 in the ACC.
I'm waiting for something to talk me off the ledge with Louisville here.
Well, you were successful last week with them, Dan. Didn't you go like 7-1 against the spread in college last week?
Yes, I did, sir.
All right.
Yes, I did.
And
Thank you very much.
Louisville was one of them.
And Louisville was one of them, but they were home.
Yep.
They were home. I know this is Virginia, and this is a bad Virginia team. I honestly think they win by 5 touchdowns.
Okay.
Because I don't see Louisville as the type of team because of, the obvious, best player in the country going for a Heisman. I think even if they get up, 20, 7, 28, what in the first half, quarterback ain't going anywhere.
Right.
He's still trying to put up stats.
Yeah, he is.
And like you said, this is a team that needs to really kill because they don't have a marquee opponent anymore. Houston is not a marquee opponent anymore.
Right on.
They need to win out and win out big and still probably hope for a loss, but I think it's a murder, a absolute murder at Virginia today.
A bludgeoning. Dream,
A bludgeoning,
you see a bludgeoning?
sir. An annihilation.
You see an annihilation, Dream?
I do.
You do.
I do see annihilation. I don't really mind Louisville today. I mean, I'm not getting involved with it because I don't do those humongous spreads, but I don't see any reason why Louisville does not have their way with this Virginia team, especially Lamar Jackson, just one more notch in the Heisman Trophy. By the way, I don't know if you guys are getting involved with that future. That's a nice future you might want to look at too.
It's juiced like crazy. I think.
I figured.
I don't know exactly what it was. Last time I checked, it was like minus 200 to win the Heisman.
Yeah,
It's no good right now.
Yeah, you're right. It probably is no good. But if you got a couple of spare bucks and you want to throw it in a parlay situation, open and just keep throwing teams in the spot, it's like money in the bank.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, nobody's going to touch him as far as his stats are concerned. Even like as of right now, he's basically doubled or tripled up on most of the other candidates. So, all right, Dream. So
Yes, sir.
we're going to move on to another game. What you at?
I am at, since we went to the 12 o'clock number and I did bypass that to get right into Baylor, I am at just another game that I like. Not necessarily sure I'm going to get involved with it because there's 2 more that I love, but another game that I like, and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, Houston Cougars.
Okay.
I know nobody's happy with Houston right now. Everybody's mad. Oh, they played us. They're not as good as we thought they were. They stink. All of that rhetoric has gone down. I understand the pain. I get it. However, they're back home coming off of embarrassing loss to SMU. They are in now what I call the Oklahoma position, okay? Got beat up. You got beat a couple of times. You're not going to the playoffs. So let's just try to get ready to hopefully have some NFL scouts look at us. Let's try to make a bid for the NFL. Let's have some fun. Let's lighten up and let's just go out and just have some fun and win some games. Entertain our home crowd. Greg Ward Jr., like I just said, probably, I would say he's got to be in the top 5 quarterbacks in college football right now. I mean, even still with the losses, his numbers are incredible. The kid plays really, really hard, rushing and throwing the ball. Houston, maybe they were overrated at the beginning of the season. Maybe that was just a bad day for them. They, caught a couple bad losses. I feel bad for the program. I obviously have a couple of connections to this program, so that I am slightly a little bit of a homer. But all jokes aside and all homerage aside, I see Houston having a good day today and beating UCF. I also see them covering, but like I always say, why not put them in a tease and knock, put 7 on that 9 and get it down to 2 and just go to bed?
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me is UCF is actually a pretty good road team.
Okay.
Their only road loss is at Michigan in week 2. This is a team that beat the hell out of East Carolina. And I understand it's East Carolina. They came up to UConn last week, beat UConn. Again, Houston being a 10-point favorite here, I kind of get it, but I actually kind of like UCF plus the 10 points just because I don't know where this Houston psyche is. I don't expect them to lose, but I kind of expect this game to be a dirty, nasty kind of game.
Sure. Exactly. All right, guys. Well, I took a poll on Twitter last night, and I said, which home team underdog do you have winning? And the number 2 team is the one that I am going to take as well. I'm going up to 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to the SEC, and I see the Auburn Tigers going into Ole Miss, who Ole Miss is 3-4 on the year with the self-proclaimed best quarterback in college football being Chad Kelly. And I see the Ole Miss Rebels +5. I think they win this game outright and pull the upset. I like what Chad Kelly does. I mean, he doesn't always make the best decisions, but the Auburn Tigers have been doing it defensively. I think Ole Miss gets the better of them today. I like Ole Miss to win the game. Dan, what's your thoughts here?
Take your Ole Miss money and put it in the bank because I'm with you, man. I understand. I guess I understand the line. Auburn's looking hot. Ole Miss has a very deceptive record. You look at the losses, Alabama, and then 3 losses, but at Florida State, at Arkansas, and at LSU. I mean, it's not like they lost to, Wofford.
Right.
And I still think that, they, like you said, they have a quarterback that has very high aspirations. He's still in there. He's still hanging tough. I think that win against Arkansas at home was kind of an aberration. I like Ole Miss plus the 4.5 or 5 points either way.
Dream, where you at there?
Where I'm at is you don't want to bet on Baylor, Texas, but you want to take Ole Miss.
Of course I do. Ole Miss is home, baby.
All right, so here we go. Game to get involved in, as far as I'm concerned. Common opponent, Arkansas. Auburn beats Arkansas 56-3.
At home.
Ole Miss loses to Arkansas.
In Arkansas.
Regardless. This is, to me, you talk about a scary game. This game is a lot more scary to me than Baylor, Texas. But, I like Chad Kelly as a quarterback. The problem with Ole Miss, their defense is garbage, dude. I've watched this defense just implode on itself time and time again. 455 yards allowed. They allowed 226 yards on the ground, 229 through the air. Dude, you got a stomach ache and a half in this game. Best of luck to you. I wouldn't get involved in this game at all.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And you know what? Anytime you're going to give me a plus 200.
And this
or
Auburn
better
team
on a money
has
line,
gotten so hot in their last few games. And mind you, I've had a couple of Auburn faithful that hit me up regularly. I can't remember my boy's name, but I know he'll hit me after the show and remind me, because he doesn't do nothing but talk about Auburn. Every time I turn around, he's Auburning me to death. But Auburn has picked up the pace, and they got a lot of momentum coming this game, and they're believing in themselves and whatever their whatever their program is telling them. Meanwhile, you got an Ole Miss team that is, I know they lost to some really tough opponents, losing in Alabama, Arkansas, and LSU, but their psyche could be questionable as well.
This is only Auburn's second road game. Their first one was Miss State. They got out of there 38-14.
Okay.
So that, I can't really, I'm riding with you, man. I'm with you on the home team underdog.
Sure.
I do see what you're saying, Dream. I get it, but I don't know, man. I just think this game gets covered. I think it's a field goal game either way.
All right, sounds good. Well, you know what? As I kicked off in the show and said, there's a couple of home team underdogs that I'm going to be on, and we will talk about it later on. Dream, you got a guest calling in?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, hopefully he calls in soon because I'm going to save that game for when he calls. Dan. Oh, you know what? Oh, before we do that, let me punch in my caller and see if I can get him on the line.
All right.
I got somebody calling on the line this morning.
What's going on, SBTV?
Yes.
Who you with?
Weaver. What's going on, man? How you doing today?
What's up?
Man, it's game day. You already know the deal.
You already know the deal. You are a Clemson faithful, and you are looking at the Clemson Tigers today, who are going into Florida State, and they are a 5-point favorite. Weaver, your team is going down today. I'm just going to tell you.
You think so?
I know so. Huh? I know so. But tell me why your faithful are going to win today, because I'm dying to hear this, because you're right there with the dream.
Before you move into him, just give me 1 second, because I got the homie the clown bat out, and I'm hitting Hat in the head 2 times. 1 for trying to take Ole Miss, 2 for trying to bet against Clemson.
Hey, well, before we get into my boys from Clemson, I'm going to pull my homie the clown out, and let's talk about this Texas game for 1 second. All right, so let's think about this. So last week, Ohio State, number 2 ranked team in the country, goes to Penn State. They're a 17.5-point favorite, right? Now you got a Baylor team that's number 6 in the country going into Texas, who's 3-4, and the spread is only 3.5. Doesn't that make you scratch your head?
Yes.
No, I'm not scratching my head because I base it on the talent of the. Listen, you know me. I'm about the talent of the teams. All that other stuff, in between stuff, that's for you guys that lunar fakings.
Well, and also this game means so much more to Baylor.
No, I agree, but just the spread alone is either telling me you take Texas or you don't play the game. I mean, you can't have a number 6 team going into a Texas team, and for all intents and purposes, it seems that reverse racism is going on with Coach Strong. At a 3.5, you got to play Texas or you got to stay away from the game. I mean, the line just stinks.
Well, go ahead and play Texas then, player. Go ahead. let me take a picture of yourself as you're putting in Texas. Play it because I know you're going to get crazy. You're going to be like, I cannot believe that I'm taking Texas right now.
I don't know. Last I checked, Texas covered versus Oklahoma.
Exactly, and Texas can score, and we've seen Baylor struggle against lesser competition, and I just don't know the thought process of that team right now. Like, you know, they're number 6, but they're not going to any big bowl game. So, like, what is their mentality?
If they win out,
they sure will.
Yeah, if they beat West Virginia, then they
West Virginia, Oklahoma. If they beat those teams on the road, they'll probably make a playoff.
Well, but you got to look at, you got Washington out there who is not losing. Ohio State.
You know what? I will believe that when I see Washington going, and I know it sounds crazy. They struggle with that Washington State team every year, and they got to go play them on the road last week of the season. So, and that game tonight, and I know we're going to get to it. That game tonight is not easy, or this afternoon, I guess.
Yes. All right.
Do me a favor. Before get off, put the pipe down and don't put the Texas play in, all right? I'm feeling you don't play, so stay on that side. Don't even try to be tricky, and I'm going to get them because of the line movement in the public. Just let all that go for a minute, and come on down with me down to the Clemson game. Let's talk about Clemson right now this evening.
I tell you, man, this is the biggest game on the schedule. I thought when we first talked the first of the year, I didn't know that Action Jackson and Louisville would come out and have the type team they did. But, man, Clemson, last time they went to Florida State was Deshaun Watson's coming out party. Jameis Winston didn't play in that game because the whole scandal he had, and Watson almost beat him by himself. Now 2 years removed from that, Heisman candidate, and this is the game that they have to have. They lose today, they're out of the playoffs. And had a week off last week to get healthy, and I think this team is focused and ready to make another run at national title, and it starts tonight.
So you're picking the Clemson Tigers to get it done. What about the -5 points?
You know, that line, Rob, opened at 3, now it's at 5.
Right.
So everybody is betting Clemson. I don't like the 5, quite honestly. And I honestly think it's going to be close at halftime, so I'm not so sure that a Florida State first half play wouldn't be a bad play. But I think Deshaun and those boys have had enough time to start gelling. They dodged a bullet against NC State and should have lost that game, and I think that's one of the reasons that they're going to be even more focused and prepared tonight going into Florida State. But I mean, that's a hell of a venue down there at Tallahassee to get a win, though.
And Scott, I'm going to use your own psychology against you as far as using your own words against you as well, because you look at a number 3 team in Clemson, okay, that beat a Louisville team, all right, and it's ranked number 3 in the country, playing against a Florida State team, number 12. And Florida State, I don't think deserves to be number 12, to be honest with you, and I don't think anybody else does either. Yet, here we go with the spread. That it's only 5. We use the same terminology with the Baylor game. And by the way, one more thing about that Baylor-Texas game, it's a humongous rivalry on top of it. So that also has something to do with the spread. I get the spread probably should be a little bit more, but don't you think the spread should be more on this game too?
Well, I think the reason it isn't, Dream, is because this is Clemson's biggest rivalry in ACC. They have struggled winning at Florida State traditionally.
Yeah.
Bowden was there.
Yeah, I mean, they've traditionally struggled there. So, and the persona of the Florida State University name and what they have done over the last few years lends itself to have that type of spread with Clemson struggles on the road. But I think this team is experienced. They're poised. I'm amazed at what they've done defensively. With all the number one draft picks they've lost on the defensive line. They've basically replaced their defensive line the last 2 years and still one of the top teams defensively in the country. The defensive backfield's top in the ACC. And they're starting to gel. Now, my concern is with Gallman. He had a concussion against NC State. He had a week off. Now he's coming back. That's my major concern is what Gallman's going to bring, because Clemson goes through Gallman. I mean, Deshaun gets the big name and recognition, but as Gallman goes, Clemson goes offensively.
One thing I can tell you is this. Clemson, I feel, plays a better, more complete game on the road than they do at home, to be honest with you. Because you know what? NC State really, you guys know, should have beat them. And you know what? On the road, I mean, they got a couple of pretty impressive road victories. I mean, at Georgia Tech, 26-7, at Auburn, 19-13, which is a tough place to play. They're a better road team than they are at home, in my opinion. I mean, they're 7-0. They haven't lost any games. So I understand that.
Pat, you got to remember, though, with this team, too, any team in the top 5 as far as college football is concerned, the opposing team that comes in, their athletes know about it even more so. I mean, you're talking about kids now. These kids are way more into social media and what the media's got going on and the press than the pros. So getting them up for a game, NC State knew going into Clemson, if we could beat Clemson, we could really make a name for ourselves. So I think any team that plays this team, especially going into their house, they're gonna be at that next level of gameplay. And yeah, Clemson did escape this game. Like Weaver said, I kind of like that closeness that happened in that particular matchup, helping them to get them even more motivated for this game. But this Florida State team, guys, I'm telling you, offensively, I'm not that impressed with how they've executed offense.
Well, their top receivers also out today too.
Exactly. I was just going to get into that as well. But this Florida State team, to me, they don't pose a threat to me offensively to this Clemson defense. I just don't see Florida State having a lot of success.
Well, I took a poll last night on Twitter, and 45% of the nation says that this is the best shot at a home team underdog to win the game on the field.
That's because the nation loves a dog anyway, Hat. So anytime you do it, everybody's in there with the public and the line movement. And because that's my thing. 50 years ago, knowing about the public and the line movement might have worked in people's favors 50 years ago when you had to, run down the block around the corner to get a newspaper to find out what was going on across the country. Nowadays, everybody thinks they got a trick to win on Saturday. Not happening.
and here's what I look at. If you look at last year's game that Clemson pulled away at the end and won by 10, 23-13, the first play of the game, Cook ran a 75-yard touchdown, put the Noles up 7-0, and the Clemson crowd was silent. What Brent Venables did is he stacked the box against Cook, and he said, hey, we're going to make this quarterback beat us. We're going to make him throw. Can he beat our secondary? And we're going to get enough pressure on him to make him turn the ball over. And that's exactly what happened in that second half. Florida State had basically no yardage on offense in the second half. And I think that's going to be the game plan again today. You got a freshman quarterback who now is, got some games under his belt, but Venables is going to make that kid beat him. And he's going to stack the box against Cook and say, hey, man, can you beat our cornerbacks who I think we're one of the top in the nation? Can you beat us? And can that offensive line withstand the pressure we're going to bring? And I'm not so sure they can.
All right. Sounds good. Well, hey, I wish I could say I wish you the best of luck, but I'm not, because I'm taking the Seminoles today.
Luck has nothing to do with it, Scott. Tell him.
All right. Well, I just before we cut out of
here. Here's what you got to look at, Dream. When my X's are better than your O's, that's all that matters, man.
That's what I'm trying to talk about.
Weave, one more question for you before we cut out of here with you. What is who has the biggest chance of losing and having a 1 on the loss column, being an undefeated team? You've got Nebraska at Wisconsin. You got West Virginia at Oklahoma State. You got Clemson at FSU, which we already know your side on that one. Got Baylor at Texas. We got Washington at Utah, Boise at Wyoming, and Michigan at Michigan State. Who's got the best chance of losing today?
I got 2 games today, and they're on that list. I think Baylor loses outright today, and I think Nebraska loses outright today at Michigan State.
Yeah.
This is the one. Ding, 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 ding. That's the possibility. That Baylor's not going down.
All right.
That Nebraska ain't going down either.
All right. Well, all right, Weave, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. And are you going to the game? Oh, no, it's on the road. What am I talking about? You're not
No, it's on the road, man. I'm about to go to my son's tournament game, Little League 11 and under, man. The number 4 team in the league.
Nice.
We'll see him today. But Dream, man, I better have that. Man, I'm telling you.
All right, brother.
All right. You have a good one, Weave. Thank you for
All right,
calling
fellas.
us. We appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good one. Bye.
Dream, Florida State's winning today.
No, they're not.
All right.
You
Sounds
got
good.
the wings and the beer.
All right. Wings and beer is the bet. and it's not like one of those little snack sizes either, player.
Well, now I know how you eat, so I'm sure you're going to want something heavy.
Might as well just get him the $100 gift card to B Dubs. You know.
Yes. All right. Who are we on? Are we on you, Dream?
We were on me.
Oh, okay. We're on.
And
you.
I got to go right into this because we were just talking about this, and let's go with some Nebraska.
All right. This is a big game tonight, man. So we have Nebraska going into Wisconsin. Wisconsin is favored as a 5-2 team versus an undefeated Nebraska Cornhuskers team minus 8.5.
Silly. 8.5 points.
Seems like a lot, doesn't it?
It's a crazy number.
All right, why?
These teams are like mirror images of each other.
No doubt.
I'm with you on that.
I mean, these teams,
totally
they play
agree.
the same style of football. They plod along. They play defense. They hope to get a turnover or two. That Wisconsin win on the road last week was so typical of what Wisconsin is. And honestly, Nebraska's like a souped-up Iowa team. Like, I just don't see this game. I mean, I'm all over Nebraska plus the 8.5. If you really want to, feel real safe about it, get them up to plus 10.5. But I don't think you need to. I'm just not seeing this big line here.
Dream?
Another game I can't touch. I happen to agree with Dr. Dan. I think Nebraska probably wins. I don't like the way either one of these teams play. They remind me of, which maybe why Dan likes me, remind me of the New York Giants back when they had Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor, except Lawrence Taylor is not on the field for either one of these.
There is no Lawrence Taylor.
But I don't like the way either one of these teams do it. However, I think the team plus the points is going to win because I see this probably being a field goal game. Either way, somebody wins by a field goal in a very probably low scoring, boring type of game. I don't like it. I will probably watch a little bit of it, but not much. Can't go near it, but I think if you get the points, and like Dan said, if you add even a couple more to it and get Nebraska plus, two scores, you're going to be pretty safe.
You will be pretty safe. All right. Sounds good. So, moving on. Dream, you got anything else up your sleeve?
Hey, I'm done, gang. That's it for me. I'm keeping it nice and easy. I really like this Baylor, and I really like Clemson this evening. And I also have a small like for Houston. Other than that, I'm done for today. Going to look at tomorrow and getting into some of tomorrow's stuff. If you want a couple opinions, I do have a couple opinions still left. But why don't you move over to Dan or yourself if you got something extra?
I'd like to talk about real quick the big rivalry here, which is actually not – it's not going to be as exciting as it usually is. And that is your boy Harbizzle going into Michigan State. You got number 2 Michigan, who is a 24.5 favorite versus 2-5 Michigan State.
Michigan State, dude.
What happened to them?
Michigan State. I want to
Because it's not like the quarterback play was awesome last year. You know what I'm saying? So, what happened to this team? Just a lack of recruiting? What's going on here?
I think it's just they got stomped out and they gave up.
Yeah.
I agree.
They gave up, right?
When you barely get by Furman, and then we see how bad Notre Dame is, right? But we didn't know that at the time, right? So they're like, oh, we got scared against Furman. They go on the road, they beat Notre Dame, they're all high on themselves, and then they get demolished at home against Wisconsin, and that killed them. Come on, you can't be losing to Indiana, to BYU, friggin' giving up 54 points against Northwestern at home?
I know, it's nuts.
I mean, look, you want to talk about a coach that should be on the hot seat. I know he's had a long historic run.
Yes.
Look at Les Miles, okay? You're 2-5 with a Michigan State team? I mean, against this schedule? Give me a break.
Yeah, but they're gonna. He's gonna stay there for a minute though, because
You're right.
Yeah, he did bring this program up because the program was a mess prior to him getting there. So he's gonna be there for a minute. But you know what, Dan? It's funny you mention that. This game, though, is going to be a telling game about that coaching staff, because if you can at least be somewhat competitive, meaning, get beat by 3 scores, get beat by 21, but don't
tight,
get thrown out and embarrassed, then that will be a great job, because right now, this team could get beat by, this could be the crime scene spot of the day.
Oh, I think it might be.
Yeah, and if you really get bludgeoned like that, to use one of your words again, it's going to be bad for the coaching staff. So I'd be interested in seeing how this coaching staff is able to motivate these kids into going out and saying, like I said with Oklahoma. But Oklahoma's just been in that position so many times, so they're used to doing that. But go out, we lost, we're not going anywhere, but let's have some fun and let's try to be competitive. That is going to be interesting to look at in this particular game.
I'm going to take a small play on the Michigan defense. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it up to 14 points, and I'm going to take the under point total for Michigan State. You realize offensively they're really not that good, and Michigan's defense is insane. I'm going to take that under the – as a matter of fact, you know what? I'm not even going to buy the point. I'm going to get it under the 13.5. I think they're going to shut them out or come close to it. Maybe give up like 1 score or something like that, Dream.
Well, with those shutouts, is just that, you're not taking, okay, I thought you were taking the shutout. No, okay, don't take the shutout, though, because that shutout to me is so crazy because it's special teams, turnovers. There's so many of those other additives when you take that shutout, but I could see them getting shut out.
What's the prop on it though?
I don't have the prop in front of me.
Because I mean, if you're talking like plus 200, which seems even low for a shutout prop, I mean, I'm kind of with you.
All right. Sounds good. Well, you know what? We got to find it on the board and get involved in it. So,
yes.
All right. One more game I want to talk about before we close out of here, guys. We got to talk about the Pac-12.
Yes.
And we got to talk about the 3:30 matchup where the undefeated, this Washington team is coming into the Utah team. The Utah Utes are plus 10.5 at home with an under-over of 53.5. Dan, I know you love this game.
I do love
What
this
do you love?
I'm going Utah plus the 10.
You're going Utah Utes plus the 10. Interesting. Talk to me why.
I just think that this is the game that Utah has been waiting for pretty much all year.
Okay.
And I think that they keep it pretty close. Again, this Washington team is very, very good. Don't get me wrong. But I just think that Utah, their offense has kind of clicked a little bit lately. They're going to be able to put some things together. I just think 10 points is a lot. And when you look at, if you look at Washington's schedule and who they've beaten, right? I'm not saying, look, you play who you play.
Right.
But Rutgers, Idaho, Portland State, at a bad Arizona team, Stanford, and I think that was without McCaffrey, at a bad Oregon team. And granted, they blew their doors off like they should. And then home against Oregon State, they haven't played another defense that's anywhere even close to what Utah can do. That's why I think it's kept close. I think Washington wins the game. But I think Utah covers the 10 points.
Tight. Do you think it's going to be a tight game? Dream, you think this will be tight or what?
I don't know, but I do know this. I do think Washington could be a tad bit overrated. I've been vocal about that as far as them being in the playoff situation and being one of the top 4 teams in the country. I don't know that if they're on the same caliber as Alabama, Clemson, or Louisville. I struggle with that. The one thing about Utah, though, I watched Utah's defense last week. Utah's defense last week let UCLA just do whatever they want.
No, I hear you there, 100%. But don't you think part of that, because if you look at the rest of what they've done, I think that's the classic look ahead.
Okay.
And their offense still managed to pull it out because, to me, Oregon State probably has the dopest defense or offense that they've played on their schedule, and they held them to 14 points at the in their building.
Right.
So I see what you're saying. That game last week, you're like, and I hate to overlook that, but they still came out with the win. So I'm hoping that the defense is just looking ahead.
All right.
Give you that a little bit, but UCLA comes in, backup quarterback. Rosen didn't play. I mean, we saw this game last week. I was all over it because it was one of my winners,
Right.
The underdog. But man, I tell you, Utah's defense, if they allow Washington, what they allowed UCLA to do, forget it.
Exactly.
What do you think, Hatter?
Well, I'm very high on this Washington team. I love the way they play defense. They only give up 14 points a game, 14.6 to be exact. So a little bit over 14. But I think they'll go in. You know that I can't bet this game. You know I can't go against a home team underdog. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. No, I mean, because you know what?
It's Halloween.
We know that's a bad situation, especially interdivision matchup. I mean, come on. You just can't do it. Dream, I just got a question for you. If Washington comes out and wins convincingly, will you finally be a believer?
No.
You won't?
No.
Really? You know what? That the way you feel about Washington is how I feel about the Denver Broncos in the NFL. It's the same thing.
Everybody is entitled to their opinions, but unlike Washington, the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl last year.
But that was last year.
Yeah, with a quarterback, if you want to ask me, that is as good as the quarterback that they have now. So fallback plan.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Can you repeat that, please?
Peyton Ball's gameplay last year was not good. It wasn't good. He couldn't throw the ball. He had a duck arm last year. Yeah, he was Peyton Manning, so you're scared of him, audibling or whatever. But I think once you got past the first couple of plays in every game situation, the defenses were like, yo, this ain't the same Peyton Manning we've been playing against for the last 10 years. Let's go get him. And they still won the Super Bowl. So you cannot compare the Denver Broncos to this Washington team that plays a terrible Pac-12.
All right, well, you know what? I think Washington wins convincingly, to be honest with you. Because I'm not a big fan of Utah, to be honest with you. So, moving on.
Yes.
I think that's going to pretty much do it. There's a couple of other home team dogs, guys, you might want to take a look at. You've got the Fighting Illini. Dan, how about Minnesota last week?
That
brutal.
was you go 7-1 and you're like super happy, right? I mean, obviously I'm partying here, but then you look at your one loss and you're like, because you know me, I always throw a small little parlay on every game I play, right? Yeah. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, did they really blow it against Rutgers?
I know exactly.
But what are you going to do? I see what you're saying. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, they're going into Champaign.
Pat, please.
All right.
Please get off. Let's talk about just two more games I want to just talk about real quick. Just mention, honorable mention. Obviously, we have to mention the big game, the biggest cocktail party in the country, outdoor cocktail party. That is the Florida-Georgia game. Really quickly, I do like Florida. In this particular matchup, I cannot give the 7.5. Please don't get this down to underneath a field goal. I see Florida beating Georgia. Dan, you got any thoughts on that game?
Man, not really. I think it's kind of a coin flip. Honestly, I don't really understand the line on it. So I'm just going to stay far, far away, and anybody who takes it, best of luck to you.
All right.
In the second game that I have, and then we get out of here. Miami, Notre Dame. I know this game garbage. I know both teams just cannot probably understand them. Notre Dame, please somebody tell me what happened to Notre Dame and Michigan State. Probably the two biggest surprises in college football this season for me, as far as just the demise of the gameplay. Dan, I know you do keep an eye on Notre Dame. I don't know if you're a closet Notre Dame fan or not.
No, I just it's not even being a closet Notre Dame fan at all. I just don't know what the hell happened over there, honestly. And then you have, the president of the school and the AD going out and saying, giving a vote of confidence to the coach. And then the coach basically being like, I don't want your damn vote of confidence. I don't care. And now you hear rumors that Notre Dame's coach was possibly looking at jumping ship to the NFL anyway.
Okay.
So you wonder if that got into the locker room, and then when things went bad, they just went real bad.
Notre Dame has had more coaches, I think, than I've had.
They're going to bring Lou Holtz back.
My God, Notre Dame's went through some coaches, boy. They're burning through coaches.
They are. Right on. But they're pretty convinced that they're going to have the same coaching staff next year.
Yeah, I kind of think that they are, unless like Dan's talking about the controversy that they're dealing with right now, which by the way, bodes well for Miami, coming in at a good time right now with a little bit of outside controversy happening to an already bad Notre Dame team. Don't really love this game, but just had to mention, just want to hear Dan's thoughts, guys. And with that, we can get out of here.
Yes, sir. All right, boys, we're going to recap it and see what you guys are on. Dream, I'm going to start off with you. Where you at?
All right, like I talked about, I do like Baylor today. I am falling for all the tricks. The money line movement, the point spread movement.
Sharps.
And Voorhees will be out. The Sharps are out. It is Halloween weekend. Tomorrow's Hell Night, so who knows what's going to happen. Loch Ness Monster might be in my swimming pool in the backyard. I'm taking Baylor. I like Baylor. I'm going to take Baylor. I'm going to buy it down to 2.5. I do like Baylor. I may possibly do a 8.3 team tease with Baylor, Clemson, and Houston. I also like Houston. Also like Clemson. I talked about that. I'm going to take Houston. Excuse me. I'm going to take Clemson. Baylor and Clemson are the two plays I'm definitely on. Houston is the possible play.
All right. Dan, where you at?
Yeah, so I'm rolling with 6 plays today. And we're going to go with the Utes plus 10, Ole Miss plus the 4.5, Nebraska plus 8.5, Baylor minus 3, and our 2 big spreads of the day, Louisville minus 34, and Western Kentucky, I bought the half, minus 21.
All right, sounds good. So you guys know where I'm going already. I am taking the Ohio State University minus the points. I'm going to go with a team total under of Michigan State, under the 13.5, and I am looking at couple of home team underdogs on primetime. I'm looking at Florida State to get it done, and I am looking at Ole Miss and Chad
If
Kelly.
you're able to manipulate that team total, to take it to 14.
I know that, but I don't think you can. I was
Okay.
looking at it, so I think I'm stuck with 13.5, but it is what it is, and I think Michigan rolls. And what better way to prove their dominance than to beat up on their big rival, especially after what happened last year. And we'll go from there. So, Dream, close out. What do you got?
All right, brother. I want to thank everybody that's retweeted this show and also remind you, we do have another London game tomorrow, gang. So if you're looking to get involved with that, you're going to have to get up a little bit early in the morning, earlier than usual, and get that playing. Another NFL London game is scheduled tomorrow. I believe that starts 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So keep that in mind. If you're getting involved with that, you might want to put that in either tonight or very early in the morning. I want to thank Jim Rome as a douche, Terrence Mack, Joseph Del Rosario, Slick Rick, Direct Sports Solution, C. Rodriguez Jr., JP, JDH24, Dang, Wayne Yarborough, Vegas Girl, 92661, Snoopy Bets, Terry Bouchard, Joe Everett, Cash Action Bets, just to name a few. Gang, you also have the World Series featuring Terry Francona, and you have NBA going on this evening. If you're interested, hockey's banging up too. We got a lot of stuff going on. I know we haven't covered it as exclusively as some of you guys might not like, but we got an hour show, and football's king around here. I'm the Dream. Always remember who you with. Make the most of each and every day, because you cannot get this time back.
All right, sounds good. Dan, what you got to do to close out?
Hey, just everybody best of luck today. We got what I think is a watered-down NFL card tomorrow, but I'm sure we'll find some value. Don't go chasing the big game tonight if you're down. Best of luck. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
All right, sounds good, guys. We love you to death. Go out there, go easy, enjoy your weekend. Make all your dreams a damn reality and get that money. Let's go!
Peace.